Well, hi, this is Ed here coming to you from San Antonio, Texas. Gonna do a quick video here before I go off to bed. It's already after midnight, so I don't want to make this too long of a video. But I finally finished this book, Gospel According to Jesus. I'm not going to start the evaluation tonight, but I just want to give you a heads up that I will, over the next few days, start evaluating this book. Don't know how many chapters I'll get through on each video, but I'm going to try to get through. It's going to take a few videos, let's put it that way, to put things together. I don't want to make them any longer than 30 minutes. They take a while to upload to begin with, so I'm going to probably just try to confine each video to 30 minutes a piece. And so, like I said, I'm not going to start that tonight, but over the next few days, I really would like to get the videos done over the next few days. And then I'm going to be honest with you, though, this was a very tough book to get through. I can honestly say I did not enjoy it. First off, I do want to say honestly that I do believe John MacArthur knew the Lord. But I think what happened was over the years is he got caught up in some wrong theology, Reformed theology, and just simply went off track. But I do believe he, honestly, he went home to be with the Lord. Not that he went to hell. And it's not just because of all the good things he did and all the teaching and all that, but the fact that he knew the Lord. He just got caught up in some, well, as it says in 1 Timothy 4:1, that he departed from the faith, giving heed to doctrines of demons. And Calvinism is a doctrine of demons. So, in the meantime, what I recommend, I think I've put this out on video before. I'm going to look on my phone here. What is his name? Last name is Peace. Let me see if I can quickly go through it here and quickly find it. I saw like 10 videos by him. Oh, there it is. Patrick Peace. You'll find 10 videos out there on YouTube. Just punch in. In fact, what I'll do is I'm going to get on YouTube, but I'm just going to keep the volume all the way down. Okay. Okay, so what the name of it is, it's called The Gospel According to John MacArthur. And there are 10 videos total. It's by Patrick Peace. He gave what I thought was a very good evaluation of this book, and he had the same copy, by the way. Now, this particular book that I have, let me just put it on a video on here again. Gospel According to Jesus, okay? The cover on this one says Revised and Expanded Anniversary Edition, okay? I don't know if other copies are available, but Patrick Peace had I saw the cover, had the exact same cover. So when he was going through his evaluation, I was able to easily follow along what he said. And I really thoroughly recommend it. I don't know how well I'm going to do compared to what he did, but I'll get the best I can. But I'm just letting you know that he did a very thorough 10-part series on this book. Another thing I recommend too, I'm going to get on to, I haven't watched them all yet, is by Dennis Roxer. He's a pastor who was formerly in Minnesota, but he's now in Georgia. Now, when he pastored this particular series, he was at Duluth Bible Church in Duluth, Minnesota. Now he's at, it's in Georgia. Is it Grace and Truth Bible Church or something like that? But anyway, he gave several presentations on free grace versus lordship salvation. Um, and it's a very good series. I haven't finished yet. Um, there's about 12, yeah, 12 videos total. And it really, he's much, much more knowledgeable than I am on on lordship salvation and the problems with it. And I'm learning a lot from him on that. But it's amazing how, now Dennis Roxer did mention this book, and then he also, I believe, mentioned this one. This is the book I'm going to be reading next. I'm going to talk about this in a minute. Say Without a Doubt. And then he also referred to Hard to Believe, which I read, and that was by John MacArthur. And yeah, it was hard to believe. But it's just amazing the different quotes that Dennis Roxer presented, and where sometimes it was from the same book, or sometimes it was from a different book. He'd quote something and then contradict himself elsewhere. And like I said, sometimes it was from the same book, and other times it was he might have quoted something one book, but then there was a contradiction in another book. And that's what I found with this book, just in and of itself, full of contradictions, where he'd say one thing and then say something else. John MacArthur did a lot of double talk. It's just really sad that. I mean, I'm glad for all those who came to faith in Christ, but it's just really sad how he confused others, and really upset the faith of some, as the Apostle Paul says. I was in 2 Timothy, and I will admit it rocked my world there for a while. I'm still recovering from that, although I do thank the Lord that we're in a different church now, and it's far better. So, like I said, over the next few days, I don't know how many videos I'm gonna put out there, but I'll just do an evaluation. But I would look at the one by Patrick Peace, and then I said check out Dennis Roxer with Free Grace versus Lordship Salvation, and just see the real problems with it. So, Lord willing, I'm going to try to get to this book as soon as I can. However, I can't promise how quickly I'm going to be able to get it out there. And the reason is, it's hard to believe, but I start school here in less than a month. But the other thing is, my wife and I are going to be selling our house. As a matter of fact, just a few hours ago, we met with our real estate agent, and we're still going to stay in San Antonio. But the primary reason for selling our house is that we want to move into a one-story. You know, it's tough. You know, when you get older, it's harder to climb the stairs, and my wife and I are both feeling it. So now is a pretty good time to sell. It's really a buyer's market out there, and you know, it's we've had this house for 12 years, have never refinanced it, so that's good. So we should be able to get a pretty decent amount for the house and get into something, you know, a one-story house. And I would appreciate your prayers on that. You know, again, my name is Ed. Just pray for my wife and me that you know, that Lord would provide us the house that He wants us to have. So what that means is I can't promise how quickly I'll be able to get to this book. I hope to be able to get to it as quickly as I can. it would be nice if I could try to get something before school started, but it really depends on how quickly the house sells, and then be able to get into another house. But I'll try to do what I can. But if you see that there's a delay, I do apologize ahead of time, because like I said, it all depends on the sale of the house. I think this fall is going to be very busy, partly because of church. I cannot believe not Labor Day weekend, but the weekend after, we have I forget what it's called, but it's our church. It's with the choir. Uh, Sort of like an outing. I can't remember exactly the term, but on Friday night and then a good part of Saturday is when we start going over our Christmas music for Christmas at First. The name of our church is First Baptist Church, San Antonio. So when we say Christmas at First, that's referring to First Baptist Church. So cannot believe that's just come around again. It just seems like it was yesterday when we had that. So it's going to be a busy fall. And then, of course, with moving, it's going to just get very hectic. So I'll try to get to this book, like I said, as quickly as I can. But in the meantime, I will evaluate this one over the next few days and try to get through. Some of it might be a little slower. I might be devoting more time to certain chapters than others. So we'll see. But like I said, I had difficulty getting through this book because there was a lot of double talk, a lot of contradiction. John MacArthur looks at lordship salvation as not a gospel of works, and it's like, yeah, it is. I mean, I obviously believe Jesus as Lord. He is Lord. But one of the things that really ticked me off about this book is over and over again is that where he says Jesus demands, or the demands of Jesus. You just demanded. Wait a minute here. What Jesus are you talking about? To me it sounds more like the religion of Islam. So, yet he kept saying, well, it's lordship salvation is not a gospel of works, and I have to disagree on that. And the Bible disagrees with that. So, and he criticizes people who say, well, you just believe in Jesus Christ to be saved. And they just say, well, that's easy believism. But the problem with John MacArthur is he refused to separate becoming a believer and becoming a disciple. As a matter of fact, a local church, I may have mentioned this in a previous video, but I'll mention it again, is that they were against lordship salvation. They said that coming to Christ makes one a believer, whereas coming after Christ makes one a disciple. So, and they are two separate issues. And this particular church said that you put the two together, you end up with a false gospel. And I believe that. So, coming to Christ makes you a believer, and salvation is absolutely free. Whereas coming after Christ, like denying yourself, picking up your cross to follow Jesus, yeah, that is costly, but you're already saved. And being a disciple just means becoming a learner. It's really all it means. But John MacArthur just muddles the two together, and just absolutely denies that lordship salvation is, he says, well, it's not a works-based gospel. Yes, it is. It's very similar to what was taught in Galatians about grace plus works. And it's interesting because at the end of the book, John MacArthur talked about the fact that salvation, right at the last page, and he contradicted himself. And I'm going to point that out because I know I highlighted earlier in the book, but at the end of the book, he said that when Jesus said it, on the cross, it is finished, he meant it. Nothing can be added to what he did. And that's absolutely true. But yet, elsewhere in the book, he says that salvation is both free and costly. Yes, salvation is free, but it will cost you everything. Well, yeah, salvation is both free and costly, but it's free to us who put their faith in him. It was costly to Jesus Christ, but he doesn't point that out. So once I start the book, go through it, I'll point that out. And he really did not understand Matthew 7:21 and 23. The very passage where Jesus says, many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord. As a matter of fact, let me just go ahead and read it. I don't want to botch it up, so let me get that. Matthew 7. Okay, Matthew chapter 7:21. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven will enter. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name cast out demons, and in your name perform many miracles? Then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. It's from the New American Standard Bible, 1995. That was a favorite of his, where he made it look like, okay, it's not what you say, it's what you do. Well, no. Jesus is talking about a works-based gospel, and that's what John MacArthur was talking about. But where he failed big time, and I will get into this when we get to that, where he failed is, what is the will of the Father? And John MacArthur didn't even reference that, because then he would have had to believe in so-called easy believism. But what is the will of the Father? Well, John chapter 6 gives us what that will of the Father is. John 6:40, which says, For this is the will of my Father, that everyone who beholds the Son and believes in him will have eternal life, and I myself will raise him up on the last day. That's the will of the Father. Did John MacArthur cover that? Absolutely not. Because he would have had to realize that all it takes is to believe and you're saved. But instead, he calls that easy believism. Was it supposed to be hard or what? So, sadly, John MacArthur talked out of both sides of his mouth. And like I said, I'm going to get into the book the best I can and just evaluate it. And I just really pray for those who are really steeped in Lordship salvation that they will get out of it, because it's not, you lose your joy as a believer, if you're even a believer at all. But I'm saying even as a believer, you'll lose your joy. As my wife and I found out, because we went to a Lordship Salvation church for 4 years, and I just think that the Lord were no longer there, and I just still trying to heal from that. It takes a while. So, well, God bless you all, and we'll talk here. I'm going to try and start my video as early as tomorrow and go from there. All right, y'all have a good night.